Hello, fellow gamers of the world. Welcome to another episode of the Video Gamers Podcast. It's Thursday, so you know what that means. It is time for This Week in Gaming, where we give our thoughts on recent gaming news. I am your host, Paul, and joining me, he is one of dozens of players logging into Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and shouting, "There are dozens of us!
Literally.
Dozens!" It's Josh.
Look, guys, I told you before this game came out that this was going to be the best game you'd ever played, man. I watched the gameplay videos. I jumped in. I don't listen to anybody else when it comes to my gaming choices, and Suicide Squad is terrible.
Oh, poor Suicide Squad. There are so few people playing it, which we're going to get into in a couple minutes. And then joining Josh and me, he's been saving up all his pennies. He's getting ready to drop $250 on Escape from Tarkov for some pay-to-win advantages. It's Ryan.
No. I already bought the other. It's DLC, right? I get it for free. No? Oh, it's not DLC?
Oh, boy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, boy. We got some stuff to talk about. Actually, you do get it. If you were a person who paid for that, you would actually get it. I don't know if you guys saw. There were some updates to Escape from Tarkov, but man, we got some fun stories to cover this week, guys. Let's start out with our first story, which is about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but it does also lead to a broader question that I think we can talk about in regards to games as a service or live service gaming. If any of our listeners aren't familiar with those terms, it just means that there's some kind of ongoing monetization with a game. This kind of started back with MMOs where you had to pay monthly to keep playing. Nowadays, we tend to see this with like season passes for future DLC, battle passes, things of that nature. There's basically ongoing payments for ongoing services from a game. Now, this has really changed the gaming landscape dramatically. I looked up a couple of numbers in the gaming industry. From 2012 to 2018, EA's value rose from $4 billion to $33 billion.
Jeez.
And during the same time, Blizzard's value went from $20 billion to $60 billion. And live service gaming is not the only reason, but it's a very large reason. Both of those companies report billions of dollars every year through in-game live service monetization. I mean, we even see this outside of games. Microsoft Office, you used to just go buy it at Best Buy, right? You'd pay for the disc, you'd install it, you own it forever. Now they just want to sell you where you pay monthly, but you get all the upgrades. Exact same thing. So Suicide Squad, it's a live service game, did not really hit with the masses. They have a live roadmap for content coming in the future. And Forbes wrote an article pointing out that the game is peaking with 200 concurrent players on Steam. When Joker became available to unlock, the thought was that this would be the biggest get to bring players back. There were 6 days where they hit 1,000 players or more concurrently, and then right after it went right back to triple digits. The game's not even 3 months old. So guys, what's the answer to that question? Like, at what point should a live service game be abandoned?
When it has 200 concurrent players. We actually know some people, in our community which is on our Discord server. It's free to join. It's an awesome community. You definitely check it out. But we had a few people that were playing it and saying, you know what, I'm having a ton of fun with this game. It plays very well. And then 2 days later, you'd see, hey, you know what, I'm starting to see the faults in this game. And then 2 days after that, it's like, I think I might be done with this. And so I think the game, we played the beta. They allowed you to, allowed us to kind of hop in the beta and play a little bit. It was super buggy back then. It was not the full release. So I'm not, claiming that the beta was the full game, but it just didn't do anything for me. I felt like it was every other game that I'd ever played like that. But when you only have 200 people playing your live service game, these are games that are supposed to keep people engaged. If you want a good example, look at Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is one of, if not the best live service game I think I've ever seen done. The drip feed that they give you of content and updates and new things to do and just creatures to come across and stratagems and all that is, in my opinion, flawless.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is what Suicide Squad was supposed to be. And boy, is it apparently not. And I think at that point, you're just spinning your wheels, dude. Like, I feel bad for the developers of this game. I think we kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I don't want to come across as saying like we told you so, because I do know people that enjoyed it, but we kind of said, hey, I don't see the longevity in this game. It's not something that interests me. And now you have 200 people playing. Are you going to keep dumping hundreds and hundreds of man hours into trying to somehow update this game to make it savable? Or do you just say, dude, we're sorry, this is not what we intended. We missed the mark, obviously. We're just going to scrap it and move on. Like, if you're only upsetting 200 people at that point, you just cut bait and run, man.
Yeah, and that was the peak. The 200 was
like,
the peak.
Yeah, I mean, that says something, man.
So this is what I'm gonna tell you. So I did some stuff on like Steam charts this morning, just looking for just crazy obscure games that were really old, that aren't like kind of big time AAA titles or anything like that. So this is what I found. So as of this morning, it was at 213 players for Suicide Squad.
Peak
213. So, and at the same time, I also looked at these games. So City Bus Manager was at 231 players this morning at the same time as Suicide Squad. That came out 2 years ago. Trophy Fishing 2 from 2017 was at 241 players. And Lego Lord of the Rings from 2012, 12 years ago, was 220 players. So all of those games had more players in it this morning than Suicide Squad.
Which is 3 months old.
Yeah.
And a huge AAA title that was really anticipated.
That was the thing, is it was huge. This is no indie developer. This is a AAA title. It was marketed as that. Rocksteady Studios is the one that developed it, who made the Arkham games.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they have a good pedigree. This is, in my opinion, where when you try to make a live service game with the intention of this is going to make us a lot of money, and you're not focusing on what makes games fun, this is the price you pay. You know, and I hate it for the developers of the game. I genuinely do. I feel like this was a publisher mandated thing. We saw way back when they released kind of an in-depth gameplay where everybody was swinging from the skies and stuff like that. And it was just like, what are you doing? Like, this is, in my opinion, where it goes drastically wrong, when publishers are dictating how developers should make a game.
Yeah, with the business model.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the problem is everyone wants to make the next Fortnite. But guess what? For every one Fortnite or Helldivers 2, you've got 700 other live service games that fail. But if you hit that one, it's worth it. So as long as those games perform well, publishers are going to keep swinging for the fences, because you could fail 130 times, but if you hit on that one, that's now your cash cow, and you're fine and good to go.
You know what, though?
I mean,
we're going to talk about a game that is not a live service game, that was a very small development team that made gobs of money here in just a minute. And it can work.
With free updates.
You know what I mean? Right. And that's what I'm saying. These people are swimming. They're swimming in gold right now, man. There's just dollar bills that they're wiping their nose with, you know? And it's like, so it can work. It doesn't all need to be live service.
And it sucks for gamers, because a lot of people bought this game thinking, I'm going to get hundreds of hours out of it. It'll be live service. Maybe they even ponied up for the deluxe edition and dropped $100 on it. And at some point, they're going to have to just say, we're no longer making money. There's not a big enough fan base to care. It's just time to cut the cord. And they're not alone. I mean, Payday 3 is in like the exact same position. They're averaging.
Now.
Yeah, they're averaging about 200 people online on PC as well, which is such a bummer. All right, before we move into our next story, if you like what we do here on the Video Gamers Podcast, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You can head over to multiplayersquad.com. Starts at just $5 a month. All kinds of perks. Shout out on the show, bonus episodes, ad-free episodes a day early. Go check it out. We would love for you guys to help support what we do here. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Switch 2. So looks like the Switch 2 is probably releasing next year. Some news broke out this week because of accessory manufacturers, which is kind of funny. And we got some, I would say, pretty substantiated rumors about the new Joy-Con controllers. It looks like they are going to be bigger, which makes sense because the Switch 2 has a larger screen, so the controllers will be a little bit larger. And it seems that the Joy-Cons will connect to the Switch 2 with magnets instead of using the rail approach of the Switch 1.
Magnets.
Getting your Jesse Pinkman on from science. All right. Now, I'm excited to have the Switch 2. I'm not so sure about using magnets to connect the Joy-Cons. What do you guys think?
Listen.
It's hard to imagine them getting that right.
If this is your big update, man, magnets over like sliding them down and clicking them. Like, remember when the Switch came out? What was the little animation, right? It still is. It was the click sound, right? I'm putting the controllers in and click. And it's like, this is what you marketed this product as, is like your catchphrase almost. And it's like, are these magnets? Well, they better click in, buddy. But like the problem I have, and this has nothing to do with my love of or not love of like mobile gaming and the Switch and things like that. Nintendo has always been about innovating consoles and control schemes and things like that. I mean, and now their innovation is magnets and a bigger screen. Like, Nintendo, what are you doing, man?
Well, I mean, the Switch, after the success of the Switch, it's the second most successful console of all time.
You know what had
They're
success?
Not going to change that much.
The Game Boy had success. The N64 had success. The GameCube had success. Wii U, not so much. You know, but it's like, but they had success with all these things. This is Nintendo. So it's like, are they just losing it? Like, I don't know, man. Like, everybody kind of went like, what's the next innovation? And you're telling me the next innovation is magnets?
How do they work?
Sure.
Magnets, how do they work? No, I think as long as they fix, I mean, it's good that it's a little bigger. You know, we have grown-up hands, not teeny little baby hands. So
Joy-Cons are hard to use, at least with my ogre hands. It's pretty rough.
Yeah,
but I don't think the Joy-Cons are getting bigger, are they? It's just the screen.
Yeah, the Joy-Cons are bigger too for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
How much bigger?
Which
4 millimeters?
I know, right? Which will help a little bit. I'm not a big fan of the Joy-Cons anyways. I just have like wireless controllers that I use with the Switch. But I mean, as long as they fix the dang stick drift, like I have
that's
like,
a bigger issue.
Yeah, I have like 4 controllers. They all have the same thing, so I can't really. I mean, there's not too much I can play on it anyways without
they ain't
that
fixing
affecting.
that stick drift.
No,
you know how much money they make off of stick drift?
I know, right?
They're like $70 per Joy-Con. They're wildly expensive. Now, I mean, there is some good news that if you have whatever it's called, like the Switch Pro controller, that's going to be compatible with the Switch 2, which is great to hear. Yeah, the magnets are kind of interesting because on the one hand, they have to be strong enough that they're not going to slide at all. Mm-hmm. But then if you make them too powerful, like, I'm sure you guys have probably played with like the neodymium magnets or whatever they're called. Those can be so strong that like even an adult can't pull them apart. So how are they going to walk the line where like 5-year-olds are going to be able to remove these Joy-Cons, but it's not loose enough to slide? I'm a little skeptical about this. I was a little surprised.
Yeah, playing handheld where like that's a pivot point, you know, where you're holding the controller and then the screen's in the middle. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they do it, but I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the whole Joy-Con as it is.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Well, clearly they're not swinging for the fences with the Switch 2, and I don't think that's a surprise. The Switch 1 works. If it works, why
they're
don't
gonna
fix
sell
it?
a gajillion of them. They're gonna sell a gajillion of them. The Switch 2, like, come on, man. I'm a little disappointed that their advertising thing right now is, guys, we have magnets.
Well, to be fair, they're not advertising.
Well,
it. These
all right, sure. I
mean,
I get it, but
because of manufacturers,
a lack of innovation, let's say.
Sure. Yeah, there's no question. It'll be higher resolution. It'll have higher frame rate than the Switch 1. Is that much to write home about? Probably not, but that's kind of what we're going to be working with. All right, let's go ahead and take a short break, and then we'll come right back and talk about Escape from Tarkov.
If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
All right. Escape from Tarkov. Very interesting game. Not made for everybody. Josh and I weren't huge fans, but it definitely popularized the whole like hardcore extraction shooters. Yeah. Seems to not be able to stay away from controversy. You know, cheaters continue to be an issue in Escape from Tarkov. Well, this week they have brought to us the Unheard Edition, which by the way is a terrible name. Yeah. I don't know who came up with that. It comes at a whopping price of $250. The problem, or one of the problems, is that people who paid $100 previously for the Edge of Darkness edition were promised all future DLC for free with the game. It was like buying a lifelong pass. Well, what's their name? Battlestate. Battlestate Games came out and said, even if you have the Edge of Darkness edition, you got to pay the full $250 for the Unheard edition. Now, the Unheard edition brings in some PvE content that you can play by yourself, but it does also carry things that people have labeled pay to win. Like it gives you more loot spaces, it gives you a leg up skill-wise after a wipe, and so people have been labeling it pay to win, and people who have already paid for the lifelong pass weren't going to get it for free. There's a huge outcry. Battlestate came out and said, okay, we hear you, we'll fix the problem. We'll give you the Unheard edition for 6 months, but then we're going to pull it back. And then if you want it, you're going to have to pay the full $250. And then I think the outcry got even worse after they came out and said that. So Battlestate Games, look, to their credit, they folded. They said, okay. If you paid for the lifelong pass, we can see why you would consider this DLC, because it is. So now they are giving it to everyone who did pay for Edge of Darkness. But how did they not see this outcry? They were shocked at this, right? How did they not see this coming?
Money.
Yeah. Money. So, you know, because you guys know I do so much homework and research on all the things we talk about. I went on to the Escape from Tarkov subreddit today.
Oh, no. Toxic, I'm sure.
And
Did you escape? Did you wear a hazmat
I did
suit?
escape from Reddit, yes. I extracted. But they were commenting on this, and here's where things started to go wrong. When they announced this PvE expansion, they said, this is not DLC. And everybody went, yes, it is. And they said, no, it's not
new
DLC.
Content you download.
Yeah, no. This uses different servers. It's PvE versus PvP. It's not DLC, you guys. And that was their story, and they were sticking to it. Like, legitimately, this is where they really started to tick people off. Because you can't call additional content to a game that is already there and then say it's not DLC, guys. It's completely different. Because everybody's going to go, well, then what the heck did I pay for? What do you consider DLC? And they tried to say, oh, well, it's like cosmetic pack that we sold you, a little while ago. That's DLC. And everybody went, heck no, it's not. Give us what we paid for. And then they dug themselves a hole on this one, man, like big time. And with the pay to win stuff, because Escape from Tarkov is a competitive game with the extraction shooter nature and stuff like that. It was even, if I remember right, like one of the perks was that the scavs that are in the game will not shoot at you if you have this Unheard edition as well.
If you're at a certain reputation with fence. Right. Yeah, they won't even shoot at you.
So then it's like, this is absolutely pay to win stuff.
Yeah.
And then trying to claim that this is not DLC was, I think, what really infuriated people. Now, it is good to hear. Initially, they tried to come out and say, hey, listen, we hear you. We want you to be happy, guys. We're going to knock $40 off the price of the $250 game that we're trying to sell you because you whined about this. And everybody went, what the heck, man? Like, that's not, no. And so it is good to hear that they back down. The problem is they didn't want to back down, dude. This isn't like oops, we made a mistake. Sorry about that. This was like, oh no, we've really ticked people off. They need to take a lesson from Blizzard and really tick people off and then back down just a little bit so that you still kind of get what you want. It seems like you're really working for the people, and then people will forget, and then they'll still give you tons of money. Blizzard mastered that, so just take some lessons there. But I mean, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's like gas when they put gas up to like $4.50 a gallon,
Yeah.
and then it's back down to $3.75. You're like, oh, nice! I found gas at a good price today.
Yeah.
But I thought it was hilarious when I looked and I saw, you're in a bad place when this is one of the quotes on the articles we were reading. The reaction to the new edition has been so negative that all but 3 channels in the official Escape from Tarkov Discord server have been silenced, with users not even being able to post. Like, when you got to lock down your Discord because people are so pissed off, like, it's a bad situation.
Yeah, you've done something real bad.
I kept picturing it as like the meme where they're all in the office room and they're all talking about how to monetize this new quote unquote feature, and then the one guy goes, "Isn't this a DLC?" And they just throw him out the window. It shows them from the outside getting thrown out the window. But it's one of those things, man. They just, it's not how do we make gamers happy and while also making money. It's how can we squeeze every little last penny out of everybody now? So I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah. And when you've promised all future DLC for free and you start arguing these technicalities around language, you feel taken advantage of as a gamer.
Guys, forget the DLC. Forget the whole thing. Let's pretend for a minute, okay, that this was a brand new product that just is under the Escape from Tarkov banner, right? And so the gamers are wrong in this case. What are you doing trying to charge $250 for PvE content? Like, it's such an overreach. This is the problem, right? They're not saying, hey, this is $50. Oh, you guys want it for free? Oh, okay. You're trying to charge $250 for a video game. This is wrong on every level, man.
But we know people who have paid for it. I mean, because they can't help themselves.
I know, but this is the thing. We're seeing this outcry against developers and these shady monetary practices, and I'm glad that people are starting to raise their voice, right? At the same time, if you're buying it, you're fostering that problem, and gamers like to whine about sometimes little things like invisible barriers in Starfield, and we kind of go, guys, we have to be realistic to some degree about how much we're going to nitpick things. But $250, not giving it to the people that paid for lifetime DLC and stuff like that, this is where things are going drastically wrong. And I'm glad that we are outcrying things as gamers because we have to draw this kind of practice back in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, up to this point in the show, we've been pretty critical and pretty negative on these stories. Let's talk about one that's a little bit brighter, something that we can really celebrate here. So Valheim, one of our favorite games ever.
So good.
I mean, we loved Valheim. We talked about it so much. It's probably been brought up more than any other game on this podcast, except maybe Rust.
Go to our leaderboard. videogamerspod.com, and see where we rank Valheim. That'll tell you everything you need to know about how great this game is.
Yeah, I think you and I both have it like in our top 13 or 14, Josh. So this week we got a trailer for a free update to Valheim, and they have released several free updates. This one is called Ashlands, and just as a side note, guys, $20 is like one of the best ways to spend it is buying something like Valheim. They have given now Ashlands, which is going to be available for free. They have free public testing of it right now. It has lots of lava, smoke, fire, all that kind of stuff that you would expect. And it looks like a really cool update. I mean, what's some of the stuff that kind of grabbed your attention, Josh?
Dude, everything in this trailer grabbed my attention. It's an all new land. It looks like it has new mechanics because they show a guy throwing like a rock into lava and creating like a little platform to where it's like, is there platform puzzles now? Like jump puzzles would be great. There's all kinds of new monsters. It looks like there's magic in the game now. With like, we haven't played Valheim in a long time. Like Mistlands, I know has released, and we didn't jump back into Mistlands either. We did actually hop back into Valheim for a little bit, and we kind of just we blew through the content because we knew what we were doing at that point, and then we just kind of fizzled out again. I think this expansion looks incredible. It brings so much. There's new bosses. There's new fighting mechanics and things like that. And this is, again, this company releases this game out of nowhere. It's a very small I think they had like 5 to 12 people, if I remember right, on their development team.
I think it was 5 in the beginning. Yeah.
Do you know how many, we just talked about Suicide Squad and the amount of money and development that went into that and how it bombed. Valheim to date has sold 12 million copies.
Jeez.
At $20 a piece is $240 million, dude. This is how you make a game. This is how developers need to do it without the publishers, trying to slog them through this and turn everything into a live service game. $240 million for this small developer because they made a game that is absolutely fun. You can play it with your friends. It has tons of content. It's constantly updated. It's constantly fixed. They're always tweaking it. This is what we want, man. And so we have to be able to stand up and praise them and say, thank you for making an incredible game and thank you for continuing to do it. I'll tell you right now, dude, if they came out and they said, listen, we have a paid DLC for Valheim, I will give them my money just to say thank you for that. Even if I don't intend on playing it. You know what I mean? At this point, because that is the way that it should be done.
Yeah, that's just business. I mean, doing things the right way to where the people want to come back. You're just going to continue on. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't played it anywhere near like what you guys have with this game, so I don't have the same connection. But everything I saw and then everything I've read, I mean, I like to go through a lot of times the comments on YouTube and stuff when they release these and see what the community is. And it was overwhelmingly positive. Everybody's just so excited, so stoked. Like, no microtransactions, no DLC costs, just pure content, joy, and all that for $15. The gift that keeps on giving. So I think it's awesome. I'm super stoked. I hope that we kind of dip into this and maybe check it out. Because I would love to get lost in something like this. I know I would.
Yeah, there's some other stuff that looks cool. They showed like some siege vehicles in the trailer. At one point it even looked like maybe mounts. So I don't know if they've added mount
absolutely.
riding.
They added some. Yeah, you can see the guy riding some lizard thing. I mean, there's new mechanics. Like if you build something with wood in the Ashlands, it'll catch on fire. They showed those like magical domes almost over like the village that people had built and stuff like that. I mean, I love just about everything. Yeah, they had boats previously, but
were they the same with like the hot water where they'd catch on fire or they'd get destroyed?
I think that's because it's in the Ashlands and wood has the opportunity to catch on fire. But yeah, it seems like they're always adding new mechanics to this game as well. If you have not checked out Valheim, you absolutely owe it to yourself to play this. We've always said solo, it's a very fun game, but it really, really shines with friends. I've been like literally telling my daughter because she plays with her boyfriend and her other friends. I'm like, you guys have absolutely got to get Valheim. You will love this game. And it's one of those ones where they kind of just stuck in the same 3 games that they play. But I've been pushing Valheim so much because it's such a good game.
Well, and you can play with up to 10 people. So you know what? Instead of dropping $250 for the unheard edition of Escape from Tarkov, you can buy 10 versions of Valheim for less money.
Yeah.
And you're going to have more fun.
Oh, absolutely.
I promise you.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah. And give out those 9 keys to your buddies. Yeah. All right. So moving on to our last story of the week. This is a short one here, but BlizzCon, which is held annually by Blizzard, it has been canceled for 2024. I mean, I guess it's not a total surprise, right? Like we had the dissolution of the Overwatch League. We know that Blizzard canceled the upcoming survival game that we had talked about quite a bit. Nothing's really on the horizon for Blizzard, so I guess I'm not terribly shocked, but it's still sad. Like it still makes me sad to think of the state that Blizzard is in. It's
the passing of an era, to be honest. Like BlizzCon used to be one of the most fun things that you could go to. It was like E3. I mean, it was really up there with just the peak of these live events, and you hate to see it. I mean, I know I'm being hypercritical of this episode. We're not normally like this, but I mean, this is what's in the news right now too. And I feel like it's just a little bit of like, you reap what you sow, and this is Blizzard kind of, getting a little bit of like, they made their back. Yeah, they made their bed, man. Like, you've become something that you were not a decade ago. And that's really sad to a lot of people. I know we have kind of lamented that as well. But they're just going to keep doing it because they're making so much money. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That's crazy too. And they just keep making all that money. I mean, Blizzard was king for what? 2000 to 2018.
They were the king of games, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the thing. They were the king of games. Now they're the king of money. And I hate that.
Do you think Microsoft had a good play in this as far as canceling the BlizzCon?
I don't know, man.
I doubt it.
I get that these things lose money and maybe they're not generating enough hype and things like that. And I mean, I think honestly, it's probably detrimental. I think they're smart in the sense that it's like, hey, we're not going to do BlizzCon this year because we don't really have anything to showcase. People are mad about our $60 horse still. So, we can't show off our super expensive DLC stuff that we were going to do. We don't have anything really in the works that we're ready to show. So what kind of BlizzCon are we going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
And then somebody went, yeah, you're probably right. We should just cancel that.
Well, shockingly, I looked it up just for kicks. Diablo Immortal still brings in over $6 million per month.
Oh my God. That's insane.
So when you've got Overwatch 2, you've got Diablo Immortal, they have their cash cows. They're doing fine financially in that regard. But do you remember the good old days of, oh, you guys don't have cell phones?
Yeah.
The fact that we don't even have BlizzCon anymore here for this year is just so sad. What a bummer. But what are you going to do? I was very excited about their survival game. I would have loved to see their take
I would
on
too,
it.
because we love survival games too. So, but hey, you know what? Takeaway, go play Valheim, buy it.
Yep.
Support those developers. They're still working hard. It's an absolutely fantastic game. I wish that we could get back into it, to be honest. We just don't have time, and we've done it twice now. So,
Yeah, I don't know that we will again.
Yeah, but play it. It's fun. Support those guys.
All right. Well, that wraps up this week in gaming. As a reminder, please go check out support options at multiplayersquad.com to get those bonus episodes and to help keep our show running. You can also rate us 5 stars. You can follow us on socials everywhere at Video Gamers Pod. We hope that you'll join us again for our next episode on Monday. Until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.
All right. See you, everybody.